Hello and welcome to Hanger V Hobby Hangout, the podcast about plastic things, and I really didn't plan out this line. Today is our inaugural episode. I'm Springer, one of your hosts. With me is also Lupes.
Hello, everybody.
One of your other hosts. And today we have with us our two guests. We have Jumbo.
Hi.
And Optimistic.
Hello.
Cool. Well, I'm glad to have everyone on. Trying to see how this goes, so bear with us as we're kind of feeling this out, but we want to have, kind of a casual conversation about the hobby that we all hopefully enjoy.
More often than not,
Yeah.
Maybe a little too much.
Well, your wallet doesn't enjoy it. So today I kind of wanted to start off the whole thing with a little bit of a dialogue on like, hey, it's the new year. 2023 is over. We're on to 2024. It's about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks into it. And there's so much to do. So I just want to talk about like, hey, what are your goals for the new year? Like, do you got any hobby goals? Like, what's kind of like what's on everyone's plate? Like, it's kind of like a fresh start.
We've all got those hobby resolutions.
Yeah. Like Loops, is there anything you're working on or any like goals you're aiming for this coming year?
There's still 2 kits from last year that I'm trying to finish up, but they're both pretty ambitious projects. But as far as the year itself is concerned, with my kid turning 1, it's pretty much time to, hopefully get a little bit of time back during the day to at least finish up 4 kits on the year. I figure 4 months or so for a kit is probably pretty good pace.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's all about what you put into it. And I mean, having family time is just as important or more important than hobby time. But
oh yeah, it's important, like you said, to get that time for yourself.
Yeah. Cool.
What about you though?
That's a good question.
You've been working up a storm on a couple different things already in the new year.
Yeah, I've been pretty busy. I'm trying to kind of tackle my backlog. I tried to make
a monster.
Yeah, well, compared to some other people's, it's a dwarf. I try to, take the approach of almost like doing some analysis of previous years. I mean, what was successful for me? Like, what was when did I get the most joy? And a lot of it was when I was, focusing more on I was building and enjoying just detailing things, and not every build had to be this, full project. So that's something I'm trying to get back to. That, and try to take on my first resin conversion kit. I'm converting a PG Zaku into a goof.
Jumping right into the deep end.
Diving right in. I mean, admittedly, I'd had this for a couple years, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think that was the first year that my Discord was around that we got that for you. Alex put that together.
Yeah, it was a really nice birthday gift from all y'all. But the thing that kind of caught me in a bad spot was there was no manual for the Zaku, and all the copies online of the manual are really poor quality. Even the really nice scan you could get from the Bandai Hobby manual site is still it's kind of readable, but there's some characters you need to be able to discern between for some of the screws.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So got that squared away, got the Zaku built, and now I'm kind of moving on to the next steps of cleaning up the resin kit, and we'll see where that goes. So
directly to the hardware store for respirator cartridges.
Yeah, probably. Cool. I feel like I know what's going to come up from you, Jumbo, but Optimistic, I don't really have any idea of what you're working on, if anything.
Well, it's kind of up in the air for me because I'm more of a go with the flow when it comes to my projects. A lot of them are kind of just spurs of the moment. I just finished the Perfect Grade Exia today because I've been working from home.
That's a fantastic kit.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of fun with it.
Did you have the LEDs for it?
Oh yeah,
nice.
It's so pretty.
Yeah, they really outdid themselves with that one.
it's so much better than the unicorns. The unicorn I honestly am disappointed with in
I
terms
get
of
that.
its LED capabilities.
Yeah. Especially
something
as you go further down the line with like the perfectibility and the Norn and stuff like that, it kind of falls short more and more.
Yeah, I don't really have much interest in getting another unicorn at the moment. But I guess in terms of like projects on my to-do list, there's my kind of annual spooky diorama that I do every year now.
You did it's like an SCP theme thing, right?
I did that, and then I did my own thing in addition to it later. So I did one that was an SCP themed, specifically Broken Masquerade. So like I printed out like a fake billboard for the Global Cult Coalition, and it was like, yeah, basically just SCP hammer down, Lotus mobile suits. And then the second one I did was kind of a more of a Dead Space infected weaponry inspired ball. It has a bunch of growths coming out of it, and it's infected and stuff. Has an eye through the portal. That one I'm the most proud of. I am getting married soon to someone who also likes to build Gundam.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So one thing I'm keeping an eye out for is a kit for me to do a his and hers like proposal diorama.
I was saying, wait, you've already proposed, right?
Yeah, I did that back in July.
Okay, so you want to do like a little display for your ceremony or what it was, the reception sort of thing?
Yeah. She actually got us the mega size RX 78 that we're gonna have in the reception. But I'm like, I'll do a diorama. So,
oh my god,
that's the issue with the backlog now. Is a good chunk of it's hard for me to tell sometimes which kid is hers and which kid is mine.
It's you take on your partner's debts when you get married, and that includes their backlog.
You are correct. Rowan has to put up with 5 perfect grade unicorns in their house.
Oh, jeez. Cool. All right, Jumbo, the floor is yours.
So my plan for this year is that my hobby crafting room is not the biggest. It doesn't make the best use of its space either because of the layout of the part of the house it's in. I have too many kits. So my plan for this year is just to build the backlog. I need to get down. Ideally, I'd like to build like 50 kits this year. That's not going to happen.
Holy crap! That is
very ambitious.
I was gonna say. I think even in my best year, I averaged like 1.2 kits a month, and like a lot of those were snap build detail like done.
I think last year I built maybe 4 kits and maybe about that many the year before that. And I did a quick estimate earlier before we started recording, and I think I have like 200 or so in that room.
Oh my god!
It depends on how you want to count the add-on parts. Okay, like there's lots of little detail kits and extra weapon sets and yada yada.
We can talk about that because I actually recently just cataloged my entire backlog, and I have a very in-depth spreadsheet, and I can share it with you again. But basically, for how I organized it was, think of it more like a pipeline of you have unbuilt, built, and then completed. And the unbuilt are divided into categories of kit and bit. Bit being anything that cannot be built on its own, or it's like, I mean, yeah, you can build it, but like it's not really like its purpose is to like be part of something else. So like hand units, weapon units, unless you're making a really nice weapon display, or
a big old box of V-fins.
Yeah, no, exactly. Or box of skulls. I have a Warhammer box of skulls. It's like several hundred skulls, but like that's how I divided it, and that like helped me kind of like wrap my head around like coming up with a goal, kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
So
you're doing, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And your goals are probably more like project based, right?
Yeah, for the most part, my goals are project based. I try to like look at everything I have like as some sort of project, if it's itself, which is, is there a custom color scheme? Am I just, repainting it, decaling it? Some things are just, hey, I want to snap this up, and there might not be a plan until later, or in some cases it might become kit bash fodder, but snapping it up is better than it sitting in a box.
Right, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
There's different like off ramps from a project, right? You can just snap it up and call it good. You can turn it into kit bash fodder and call it good.
Mm-hmm.
You can paint it and detail it and put all the little greeblies and extras on there and wire it up with LEDs and whatever. But I just need more room in my crafting area. So a lot of, I think my work needs to be identifying kits that I can just, I'm okay with just snapping this and putting it on a shelf and it'll make me happy, and then doing that thing to make extra space.
So it almost sounds like you need to quite literally do backlog refinement.
Yes.
Scrum jokes.
Scrum jokes. We have the jokes here. Yeah, it would be nice. Another thing I could do is like break down boxes into small, because the boxes are bigger than they need to be. If you clip all the pieces off the runner, stuff them in Ziploc bags,
Right.
And then you can make that box smaller and it takes up less space on your shelf, and you can fit more unbuilt kits and then buy more kits. Obviously, you got to build up that backlog. But no, I just want to get more kits out and into a place where I'm happy with them. Basically, that's my overall goal. Which is, of course, why I'm going to start with none of that and just try and finish my work in progress kits for the year.
Yep.
Which chiefly of which is I have a Michaelis that I need to finish painting. I'd like to put that into a show coming up next month, and then I'm scratch building a spaceship, which something just entirely not in my backlog at all. I'm adding to my backlog actively.
That admittedly is like one of the things that I realized once I started getting into 3D printing with resin, is that my backlog essentially became infinite, as I now have acquired like a bunch of files for, very nice things that I have put more dollars into. But like, yes, while they don't take up physical space, they take up hard drive space.
And they still eat your wallet.
And they do eat my wallet. And yeah, so like, scratch building, definitely. I mean, that's going to be a cool project, though. I guess kind of going on the topic of building something for a show, is there any like specific goals for like competition people may have?
The local hobby town has some local competitions, and they've usually got like a different theme. And the last one looked like it was a lot of fun. So I'll probably make a pretty good effort, the next time they announce one, to drop whatever I'm doing and pivot to that instead.
Yeah,
there were a lot of unique ideas that they had at the last one, and I don't know. The local things are always extra fun because you get to like actually see everything in person.
For sure.
Yeah, unfortunately for us builders in Washington State, the competitions are kind of weird because I would say there's like maybe like one non-hobby town shop that I recommend, but then it's all hobby towns, but they don't communicate with one another. So it's like, okay, if I live on the north end of the state, will they ever have a competition? I don't know, because they never update their Facebook.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Like,
yeah. So it's essentially, at least in my book, it's Builder Cup is like the only competition I enter.
Jumbo, you're gonna go to ODO, right?
Yeah. ODO down at Old Dominion Old Dominion Open. There we are. It's in Richmond, Virginia, every February. I believe it's the 19th. No, something like that. Late February. It's exciting. I went last year and it was a great time. Really, pretty big crowd. A lot of really nice entries. I don't have ambitions to really compete on that level, but I would like to get there one day. So step one is, consistently getting to the point where I can enter those competitions, right? So that's my humble goal as far as competitions go, is just enter one.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, literally first step is just showing up. I I think I would like to go to like at least more than one IPMS event, or at least like and more than one show this year. I go to our local show, Tricon in Pittsburgh, PA. That's in March this year coming. This March is already 2024. I mean, like a lot of the IPMS events, they tend to specialize more in like armor modeling and airplanes. But we have seen a lot more in the sci-fi, is what they end up classing stuff like Gunpla or anything that's not World War II, Korean War, etc. So hopefully having something prepared for that. I was thinking I might be able to get the resin kit done by then if I focus, but I'm trying to have some backups in place. We'll see how that goes. It's always fun. And for those listening, if you are interested, definitely try finding if you have a local IPMS club. It might seem strange at first, but like everyone's really welcoming, kind of surprising. I was expecting to be like met with a bunch of, people who are like, grr, Gundam, and they're like, cool, robots. I was like, yeah, awesome.
That's good to hear.
It is. Yeah.
To add to that, I think the only one, at least in Washington, is in Seattle. So if you're in that area, probably can go to it, or I would recommend trying to go to it.
There is actually I think they actually have like one IPMS club that is fully online, which is...
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm not sure how that works. I don't think they do competitions, but they do at least have like a fully online group for people who can't like meet up. So that's pretty neat.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what was nice about these last two Builder Cups, at least for me. It was like, well, the closest physical one to me is literally an 8-hour drive, or I could just do it on the computer.
Yeah. Has anyone entered one before? I've not. I've been to the judging for one back in like 2019.
A Builders Cup?
Yeah, Gunpla GBWC, Gunpla World Builders Cup.
I entered the local one. It was just a few months back, right? The 2023 one, just like the most local level.
Yeah,
I have a pin from it. That's about the extent of my experiences.
More than me.
I mean, it's these were my first competitions, and they were exclusively online, so it's kind of hard for me to be like, yeah, it was great, or no, it was terrible. I wish I could have gotten feedback. I never did.
That's the same for me.
Yeah, I would at the very least just tell me if it looks cool or not.
Yeah, that's kind of something I was hoping to see more of personally with like any sort of competition, is just like getting feedback during the judging process. However, I found that with a lot of in-person stuff, people are really like, they're really like engaged if you talk to them about like their build, or like they'll like, you can get a lot of good like tips and stuff picked up. There was a really amazing miniature painter at our local, and he had like this just insane way of doing OSL, object source lighting, and he ended up winning his division on that. But I was just like, I was asking him about it. He was just like more than happy to share like way too much information that like I was not retaining. But I mean, it was just like, I was like, wow, like, this is great. People are really engaged. And then I ended up, I think, doing something similar to someone who was like, they're looking at my, I had a gun tank entered in. They're like, wow, they're like, this looks like the master grade. I'm like, actually, a lot of it was taken from the master grade. And like, and I did this, and this, and like, these, where these parts came from. And these things are actually, custom built from these things that you wouldn't expect to use. And just, it was a good time. So like, yeah, like definitely, I think there's like, even if you don't get the feedback from the judging, just being able to talk to people about like what you're building has been really fun, and being able to like talk to people about what they've built painted or sculpted or whatever.
That's definitely my experience from Odio last year. Just a lot of people, really high energy. Everyone just really happy to stop and spend 5 to 50 minutes telling you about anything they know about on the table.
Yeah,
It's just wonderful.
yeah, absolutely. Like that's kind of like the one thing I really enjoy about this is like people tend to be very eager to share knowledge, or at least in my experience. I know that there are some people out there who are more like want to like keep things very close to their chest. But like I've encountered a lot more people that are more willing to share what they know and how they're doing stuff, or want to learn how you're doing stuff, because like you might be doing something that they might not know, and it could like help improve their techniques. It's just the improved quality of their craft.
Well, yeah, it's a hobby. It's you're using your free time to basically create different works of art at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I want to work on my hand painting or like small detailed painting, because it's just complete garbage right now.
Yeah.
Like my
That's
shaky, or my
skill.
paintbrushes are crap. Like I try to like paint in a very tiny wire and it comes out looking like a burst blood vessel. I'm like, that's not what I was going for, but okay.
Yeah, I tend to just mask stuff off in that situation. It would be useful to be better at hand painting.
For me, I tried to use miniature painting as like a skill builder, because it's like that. I mean, it's like the same boat where it's like I want to do like details, but I don't want to have to mask off the entire thing, or I want to like do a wire, but it looks like crap. So I started doing some miniatures just to kind of like get that muscle memory down of doing like finer detail, or just like watching and reading all of the techniques that like they use. I mean, I would definitely recommend that, giving that a go. I'm not saying like go build a Warhammer army, but like maybe find a couple units that look cool, or find like a WizKids thing or a Reaper Bones. Actually, I started on like Reaper Bones minis.
I got some BattleTech minis for Christmas that I get to practice on.
Yeah.
Those are always great.
I'll probably do BattleTech, because every time I go, I'm like, oh, I want to get some Adeptus Mechanicus models or some Sisters of Battle, and I look at the price tag, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm good.
I mean, the quality is definitely there on the Warhammer kits. However, like their price tends to be more tied to like their game value, as far as I understand. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but like I don't play Warhammer, and I don't want to have to pay $70 for a tank that I can go instead buy several tanks. Like yeah, like this looks cool, but like I don't want to pay the game price. I just want to buy the plastic.
It'd be one thing if you were like way into the game, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. They even have some models that I would never see used in like game live streams, like the Tau Manta Ray thing. And that's like a couple grand, and I'm like, well, why?
Is that a Forge World model?
It is, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
How big is it for a couple grand?
It's like the biggest is my understanding is it's the biggest model on the market.
Hold on. I mean,
But like,
everyone look it up.
oh god, what is this? Tau Manta Ray?
I think that's what it's called. I just remember.
Manta. Well, they'll be this will all be in the show notes.
25 inches long? Is that what I'm seeing? Nope.
I could find the video that I saw it in, because this guy did a diorama and it was really cool looking, but it's also just like, well, why?
But why indeed? Oh, wow.
A wingspan of 34 inches, 25 inches long.
That's too big.
28 pounds. That weighs more than my child.
So is this like the Warhammer version of building the Neo Zeong?
I guess.
Seems like it.
So, yeah.
Maybe. I think we're all too ignorant on the subject to really have a definitive answer between the forms.
Yeah, that's kind of fair. Oh my god, I completely forgot. Sorry not to cut off, but like that's actually one of the goals for this year. I completely forgot. We're going to be doing a local group build of a Neo Zeong.
Oh, that's fun.
someone has an Eozeong locally and they've been trying to get rid of it because they're like, I'm not gonna sit down and paint all of this. And then it was like, hey, why don't you just like ship some of the parts to we'll all pick different parts, paint them up, like have a cohesive theme or a non-cohesive theme, just have like some guideline, and then we'll get them all back together and assemble it as like this group effort.
That's pretty fun. I like that.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great project.
Oh yeah, this thing looks redonkulously massive. Holy crap!
I don't want to like bash Warhammer fans, but every time I like look at Warhammer, I'm like, man, that price tag just hurts a bit for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
but the amount of plastic you get.
Even if I have like a semi interest in doing the tabletop, but at the same time, I don't want to put down the money to do it right now. So it's like
I have spent $40 on a single miniature, and it hurt.
Yeah.
Oh no,
that's rough.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is why, if anything, I like orcs, because every kit is an orc kit.
True.
It's a mindset I can get behind.
It is.
I have a hoodie now that says just a little git. That have been great.
Yeah, but definitely kind of jumping back on subject. If you want to like build your skill around fine detail painting, I definitely recommend miniature painting. I don't recommend taking on Warhammer as a new hobby unless you really want to.
I think Warhammer and Gunpla would like literally, you would literally never financially recover from that.
Yep. Well, and I'm not a bachelor anymore, so it's probably also just not a good idea.
No, you have to pick your battles.
Yep.
Well, and I mean, I don't actually have to buy Warhammer minis if I don't want to. Looks at my 3D printer.
That's actually okay. Great. So you have a printer. Would definitely recommend. There are a lot of models out there, and there are a lot of things that are not necessarily Warhammer, but like lots of STLs by very great sculptors and artists online who give stuff away for free, and some stuff that's very well worth giving back some dollars to help keep them going.
Yeah, one of my other goals is to clean the damn thing because some of the resin spilled.
Oh no, that's
it's all thankfully it's contained because it's in a growth tent, so it's like I just gotta clean the growth tent. It's fine. It has a zipper. It's locked up.
Just throw a UV light in there, let it all cure, and then clean it up.
Yeah, probably. Again, when I have more time.
I'm looking forward to suffering with LEDs. I've got that Santa Virtue project that's kind of been in the works since last year. And it's kind of, I've finished painting it. I got to do a little detailing on it still. But the big thing that's left for it is to like E6000 all the LEDs in place and wire that all up to the plug that's situated in the back of it. So that way it can get constant power when it's on top of a Christmas tree.
Oh.
Yeah, so I went out and bought a nice Hako soldering iron and all of that fun stuff. So that way, and some helping hands and stuff like that to help not damage the plastic while I'm installing all of that.
Not to derail your project, but like I always like, what if you instead built it so you could like, I don't know if you remember, there like you'd get like tree toppers that like had a spot for you to slide a Christmas light into it. So instead of it being powered by itself, it like would just take on the light from within itself, like from like all the bulbs that you have wrapped around the tree in the first place.
That'd be an interesting idea to do. You'd probably, if I'm parsing what you're saying right, you'd have to kind of make some allowances for the Christmas lights to go inside the kit.
Yeah, yes. for like one, or I mean, I'm not sure if you need more, but
yeah, I guess that would limit your options for LED glowing and stuff like that. Probably you could do something like that with a Haro, right? There's something that almost be perfect for it, like jam a C9 bulb inside one of those clear Haros.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, doesn't Evan's design have like a bunch of options for both LED power sources and LED sizes.
That is where I get all of my LED stuff from. So yeah, they've got some kits that are specifically for like the Barbatos, the Aerial, and I think they might even have one for like Virtue. I can't remember. This nightmare that I rigged up was just kind of me drilling holes and running everything together and creating spots for the wires to run through. So like they've all got resistors and stuff like that on them, so I don't think I'm in any kind of like the bulbs are going to blow or anything like that.
Not a fire hazard.
No, I mean, geez, they're all such tiny little guys.
Yeah.
Well, and if it comes from the same place, they should also have some guides of like, this works with this, or this is compatible with this. Yeah.
Right. I did make sure when I bought my lights that they were all rated for the same voltage that like I got the plug and the adapter for. So I you know, I'm no stranger to messing around with that sort of thing. So that'll be a fun project to finish. And then I'm going to finish one of my perfect grades this year. Sooner or later, I've got to paint either the Exia or the perfect grade unicorn or the perfect grade red frame I bought.
How many perfect grade unicorns do you have to finish? That's the question.
I mentioned it earlier with 5.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh.
The perfectibility divine is built. The regular banshee is built, but I need to fix up a bunch of stuff on it. And then I've got a scrap banshee that someone kindly sent me that I can use for like replacement parts and stuff like that, because there's some broken stuff on the original banshee. It was done in 2015, a really old kit. And then there's the final battle banshee that needs to be sanded, prepped. I don't have the LED kit for that one yet. And then there's a knockoff Debon perfectibility that I bought to slam the pink Bandai frame in and just leave it in uniform mode. Like I didn't plan for this, you know. It's a curse.
You didn't?
Curse.
Okay. It just you seem to have a lot for something you didn't plan to do, you know.
Yeah. It just kind of kept going, you know. I did it as a novelty the first time, and when Bandai announced the actual perfectibility, that's kind of what started all of this.
Yeah, it's a nice looking kit.
Yeah. You know, it was a lot better than the one that I rigged up. That kit was one that I built when the PG Unicorn first came out. And that thing had been like built and then taken apart and painted, and then taken apart and painted and decaled, and then taken apart and had the armed armor VN and BS added to it. And like it had just been messed with so much. Like I think Fall Dog has it, and that I know he's not. It's not a happy kid. I think that's the way that he described it to me. That is not a happy kid, and he's right. It wants to die.
Is the perfectibility like is that different tech than the original perfect grade? Or is
the unicorn is still the unicorn. It's just the unicorn with, you know, the banshee parts, and then the VN and BS parts, and then the backpack parts from the Fenix. Wait, no, the unicorn has a different backpack, I think. Like connector for the shields.
But for the most part, it's basically just the same kit, just different colors.
Yeah, different psycho frame and different dressing. Yeah.
All the little bits and bobs added on. That's the perfectibility.
Yeah.
I think the Soon Missus has the final battle version. Her words were, "I don't like the guns."
Yeah. That final battle unicorn has a lot of weapons.
I feel like the idea of like it's just kind of has like happened is like a very common trend with a lot of, I mean, not just like gunpla builders, but like any sort of like hobbyist in general, where it's like you just see something and the project pops into your head, and then FOMO takes over, and you're like, well, I don't want to miss out on that.
You're right. You know, especially with something that's like using a P Bandai kit or something like that. Like,
yeah,
the final battle banshee was something, and then when the perfectibility came out, I was like, but what if I did a final battle banshee perfectibility? And then I spiraled into buying the Debon knockoff to steal like 6 parts from to put together another backpack connector for the banshee, so that way it could have the whole setup that the unicorn has. And I'm just like, this is horrible. I'm in too deep. Now I have to see it through.
There's also the I would not say where you've fully recovered from stock issues. So it's a lot of the times in the past few years, it's been like, well, I'm going to buy this now because I don't know when it's going to be reprinted or back in stock.
Yeah. Yeah, you can kind of tell what's usually around, but then when you see something that you know it's only going to get one, like maybe once this year, you're like, oh shoot.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would say like the stock I've seen in stores is definitely like it feels like it's recovered compared to what it was a couple years back, where people were claiming to like you'd see nothing for a while just due to production issues.
Yeah.
Right.
The local hobby town's always really stocked with like perfect grades, mega sizes, master grades, and stuff like that. But I know that the hobby town that I frequent is also more focused on Gunpla than like the other hobby towns in my area that are more focused on remote controlled stuff.
My understanding is that certain stores get prioritized, based on previous performance, which, understandable. Like they want to stock up the stores with product if they know that it's going to sell there versus a store in the middle of, bumfart nowhere. That's, they're like, well, why would we ship, all these big old shiny kits there if, we know that we're going to definitely sell them here.
Sure. Yeah. That's just business.
Oh, look, it's the 800-pound gorilla.
Oh, we'll definitely have plenty of time to talk about all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, definitely kind of touching back on like LEDs is something I also want to learn at some point, especially with this PG project because it has an
there's
LED.
probably a lot of opportunity for you to like do custom rigging in that.
Well, I mean, not to mention that the build itself is from 1999. And it's, we've had about 20 years of advancements in LED technologies. So,
yeah,
feel like
make all the thrusters on it light up.
Oh, yeah. You got to go all the way.
You do. There's room in there and then some. And like, since
there definitely is room because it's the PG is designed with like all the open hatch gimmicks. So it is just nothing but spare room to show off like the insides.
Beautiful.
You got to go for it.
Yeah, I love that about old perfect grades. LEDs are cool, but the mechanical detail is just so fantastic.
It only took me 2 weeks to snap up the base kit.
Nice. Well, yeah, it's a PG from 1999. It's probably like the equivalent of like a master grade from 2006.
Well,
a little later, 2012, 2014.
I would say it's sheerly the part count what got me. Just like, because you're building every single bit, and I was just like, how? Like I was like, I'm building the arm. No, you're building the bicep for the arm. It's like, oh no, this is the arm. No, that's the forearm of the arm. Here's the other part of the arm. Now you can finally build it. It has pistons and it has all the cool flexion and
look at all the little surface detail on it.
Yeah, and like it all opens up and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And even with like as bad a job I did at cutting out parts to just like snap it together, it still looks good.
Yeah, it's still a perfect grade, right?
Yeah.
I really love the open hatch gimmick of the old perfect grades. It's so charming.
Definitely. I mean, I know that open hatch is something that a lot more armor modelers play with because like that's where like they can spend a lot of time like on details like showing the insides of like a cockpit or the inside of like a tank or the engine compartment of a vehicle, and like I would like to see more of that with Gunpla.
Yeah, there's some kits that have a lot of opportunities for that sort of thing.
And then I've also seen people like make their own where they like scribe out a panel, which that would be a technique I'd love to learn maybe next year.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just understood what you meant, like making a hatch open thing.
Yeah, where they'll scribe out like a panel completely and then like add a hinge and like add like a piston or something, but then like add internal details exposed, and it's just like ridiculous.
Yeah,
you
that's
don't
pretty
have
cool.
to build a whole lot of internal detail. You only need to build enough that you can see it, right?
Well, also, what other like information you have to go off of? Like with armor kits, it's like, well, they're real things. They exist in reality. Either the modeler will have to figure it out, or Bandai will have to figure it out.
Which, I mean, to be fair, anymore, like we're building like even like high grades, like they'll have a degree of detail that you don't see because it's all like closed up with like armor around it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I get that. It's more just like what is priority in terms of artistic workflow for Bandai.
Yeah, that's fair.
We could spend all this time designing the cockpit for this grunt suit, or we could do this other thing that more people are going to see because it's external.
Yeah, I definitely think that they do give you like a good bit of options when it comes to like how you want to display something.
Absolutely.
Especially with the inner, anything that has like an inner frame going on.
Yeah, like the Master Grade Barbie or the
Yeah, definitely master. You know what's funny is like master, like it's, for as much of a joke it is to call the Barbados the Barbie, it's almost like I've seen it dressed up so many different ways. It's like it's a really solid like canvas for customization.
Yeah,
that's true.
I know I'm not the most popular in our main server for liking IBO, but I do appreciate IBO's aesthetic a lot. I just think I don't.
Oh no, definitely. I appreciate it.
I just want a master grade pink guy. Is that too much to ask for, Bandai? You have the inner frame done. Just give me the pink guy. But back to the LEDs, Springer. Do you plan on doing like a just LED, or do you want to do like computer stuff with it?
Because of the resin kit, I'm probably going to just end up doing like the head. And maybe thrusters, now that you guys have made that point of adding lights to the thruster bells, although the resin kit does make use of metal thrusters, so there might be some space or not. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
You're not going to go full like servo in the eye to move the mono eye around? I mean, you got the space for it, right?
Actually, hold on. Where is the mono eye switch? Is on the back of the head.
It's in a weird spot, if I remember right.
Yeah.
You just take that out and put a servo in there. That's all.
Yeah. I mean,
I am 100% just giving you a hard time.
No. There's plenty spare room inside the cockpit. Like if I rip out like the chair, there is so much room in there that you could probably embed like a single board computer, to be honest.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
Because I know most other projects that do that, they won't do it. The computer won't be inside the model. It'll be like in the display base or whatever they're using.
Right. I would like to learn to scratch build some and learn to add some of that detail that like you were talking about with like the open hatch stuff. And it would be nice to get more comfortable with that, because when it's done well, it looks really, really good. And I just don't know that I have developed the eye for doing that myself yet.
That's like that's a good point. Like it's one thing to learn to like stick stuff together, but it's like to get that like I don't know what's the word for it here, like understanding like the design language and like how shapes come together, or it's almost like having to be like to get to the point where you can look at it like it's like you're building with Lego, you know.
I mean, I'm not sure I do, because I can't build with Lego the way that you're talking about either.
Right, we'll cut out all of that part.
No.
No, you keep that in.
I think you're hitting on a good point. I don't have that frame of. This is a chronic me problem, right? I don't have the. I don't know the head for it to look at something and go, there should be a cutaway right there, and it should be, some pistons or a couple circles or whatever. I just don't have that sense for it. And I watch these YouTubers who do, and their work is incredible. I'm thinking about Godfinger's Nightingale, for example. Like when he adds detail to a section or cuts away a bit of outer armor to put that in, it looks great at the end. But I couldn't tell you how to do that anywhere on any model. So
it might just be like a developed skill, like 3D modeling or
oh, for sure. I think it absolutely is.
Like artistic engineering might be a better term. I don't know.
It's something. like I'm trying to think of like what the word is, because like what's coming to mind for me is like watching Scratch Bashing's videos where he's like just taking literal trash and like he's like, you know what, this would be really great as like a hand, and it's like, was like, oh, that's not a hand. Then he like cuts it up and starts layering things together to like, oh my god, it's a hand.
Yeah, a lot of Studson Studio does the same thing. Boyle Hobby Time, Bill Makes Stuff. They all do that exact same thing. They just, oh, this goes here, and then it does, and I can never see it a priori.
Well, I doubt that they were able to do that like overnight. I think it just takes, you gotta throw yourself in a situation over time.
Sure, but there is that moment of inflection where they go, yes, I know, I something needs to go here, and then they can start thinking about it, right?
So to a degree, I do think like the reference of like this being kind of similar to like 3D modeling is like, I think a lot of it goes to like hard surface design almost, like, learning how to design components, what is referred to as hard surface, or inorganic shapes, things that are mechanical, or like you have to learn like how to design that, how to how you're going to greeble it up, like what's an appropriate amount of greebling, like what speaks to the language of the rest of the the component. Like those are things that definitely come with practice. I mean, some people probably comes more naturally. Granted, we're not all people like
the craftsman.
The craftsman, yeah, craftsman is really cool.
Love him.
He is a fantastic person.
We're not all Sid Mead with our futuristic visions and like different way of like designing things, which to think about that, like the way that Sid Mead's designs in the different sci-fi media that we're familiar with, Blade Runner or Turn A Gundam, like how all that comes together versus something that's more like UC timeline or the IBO timeline, like how they all have, like you have to like almost like learn the language to figure out like how to speak it, like to be like, oh, how do I cut away something to make it look more IBO aesthetic, or how do I make something that looks like it fits more into the era of the 1 year war. I don't know if that makes sense at all.
I think so.
It kind of makes sense. It's like I used to be a musician, so it's like you don't just go straight into jazz. You have to learn the basics first, and then you have to like then learn the style or figure out the style yourself once you know the basics.
Right.
Or like in video games, like I don't think there's such a thing as like a general concept artist anymore. Like there's character concept artist and vehicle concept artist and world concept artist. Is like they probably all started on the same basics. You just have to go through then different schoolings or life experiences to get to your preferred flavor.
Yeah, like different specializations. Like that's just kind of going back to like the whole like I really like started researching hard surface design because like that spoke to me more than like organic shapes, character design, or well, more not realistic, but more like things that are more creature versus like robot. Like I liked the idea of like
more robot versus HR geeker.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
But they're still technically under the same genre of sci-fi, just different flavors. So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think like when it comes to like picking up something like custom or scratch building, or especially like scratch building from complete scratch or scratch building details, it definitely comes down to like learning the design language. And like I think that's where like I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with like the idea of like doing a study, like you just like compile it. A lot of these take place in like there was more like an artistic, I mean, this obviously makes more sense, like this is an artistic medium, it's an artistic hobby, where they'll like someone will pick like an artist and they will like do a study about like their pieces and like understanding like their style and like how they convey subjects, their usages of colors and like line weights or whatever, and like maybe to do with something similar with like a certain mobile suit or an armor piece or something like that. I mean, that's where I think a lot of those different books we can get from like, is it Hobby Japan? I think it's Hobby Japan.
Yeah, Hobby Japan.
where they're now printing those in English. Well, at least on Kindle, they're producing those in English as well, with like the focuses of like, from different builders, and then like, what customizations they've made, or like, builds of like certain sets or certain like focuses. I think there could be some benefit there of like maybe doing a study of like a mechanical design. That's something I wanted to do at one point, which is engross myself so much that like I know like the design language of this like era or alternate timeline, or just like a faction inside and out.
Be really interested in your thought process on how to do that sometime.
Hobby notebook. Let's go.
Yeah.
There's a ton of YouTube channels that digest that stuff. I mostly focus on the alien related ones, but there are ones that focus more on the mechanical side of vehicles and factions, like that one guy who helped design ships for the Expanse.
Ooh. What do you mean digest?
Well, there's tons of resources, I imagine.
I mean, I imagine is it like the people who do like video essays on like a very like narrow subject?
It can be narrow, it can be broad. I think one I followed is called like the Template Institute, and they typically do more like faction specific videos. But I've seen others that are like, here's a 1 hour video on the ATST.
Oh my god!
And,
okay.
That sounds intense.
But it gives you insight like into the design. Again, I mostly focus on the Giger and weird bio stuff.
Yeah, I might do something with like the Tankhead series book coming out this May from Emerson Tongue.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that a lot.
Yeah, I really love the diesel punk aesthetic. I think that's the correct term. I'm gonna have to double check myself, but I'm pretty sure like that's what diesel punk is. It's like that. You know what I'm talking about.
It's steampunk, but dirty.
Well, it's wait, you say nerdy or dirty?
Dirty. Like,
yeah,
that's my interpretation of it. At least it's steampunk, but more pollution.
It's almost like more. It feels more like utilitarian, like since it's like conversions of like armors or tanks.
Cool. How do we transition to a closing here?
Hey, thank you for checking out Hangar V Hobby Hangout, and we hope to see you in the next one.